Jackson Gulfport High School basketball player that played for Denver Nuggets.
All right, we're glad everybody came today. We have the crew that's going to tell y'all how they're going to handle Crawford Street, the things they're going to do. You got it. That was pretty quick. That was pretty quick. Anyway, we're glad y'all come. Hope you get all the information you need. If you got any need from me, I have my cards. I'll pass them out. Anybody needs one, I'll give you my card. Can you hear me? You can't hear me?
It is, yeah, just put it up to you.
Can you hear me now? All right, all right.
This isn't council.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's bad enough. Anyway, glad y'all came. It's important for y'all to see what's going to happen with Crawford Street. And we have the people here to answer the questions. So I hope they can oblige and take care of y'all. That's our job, to take care of the citizens of the city of Biloxi. And this is Walt Rhodey and his crew.
Thank you, Councilman Lawrence. Thank you for everybody who came out. We did call this meeting because obviously Crawford is a very narrow street. Currently, we're working on Howard Avenue to the south, and our contractor plans to begin construction of the water, sewer, and drainage on your street here probably starting the 1st of Monday, around that time frame, I believe. But our contractor here is James Niecase of Niecase Brothers Construction Company. He is a contractor over all the St. Michael's 1 and 2 area, which is shown in green on our maps here. Let me do a little housekeeping though, if you would. If anybody has not signed in, please feel free to sign in. That way, if there's a specific question that we cannot address tonight, we can email you and try to respond. Additionally, we have some handouts in case these boards are a little bit further than what you're able to see, and this can kind of map out where we're at. I'm going to start out by introducing the panel here, and then we have a mic that we will pass out for any questions you may have after our contractor gives a brief overview of what he plans to do and when. And then you can ask your questions, and we'll try to address them to the best of our ability. Thank you. You want me to start right to left? My right? All right, my right, in the words of Councilman Tisdale, my right, your left. George Goodnight, Neil Schaefer, our senior inspector who will be out on the job site. You'll see him around your property area quite a bit. Janice Donardo, PE, she's Neil Schaefer. She's my project manager over this project for your area. I'm Walt Rhodey. I'm the City of Biloxi's infrastructure program manager over all the FEMA work. And James Niecase of Niecase Brothers Construction Company, he's our contractor over this area. And James, if you don't mind, Janice, you'd like to start? Okay.
So the project as a whole goes from Cadet Street to Holly Street, Highway 90 to Railroad. The contractor has already installed most of the pipes east of Oak Street and paved. He's working his way west till he gets to Holly. So he is going to begin installing sanitary sewer on Crawford Street beginning Monday. He'll be starting at Howard and working his way up Railroad. This should take approximately should take approximately 6 weeks to install the sanitary sewer and services, and then he'll follow that up with installation of water from Howard to Railroad as well, and this should take approximately 3 weeks as well. And there's two separate storm drain systems. One flows to Railroad and the other flows to Howard, like Walt was explaining. He can only install the storm drain north to Railroad after the water main is installed. He'll have to come back in springtime to install the storm drain south to Howard, because some of the storm drain needs to be installed down Rossetti and Howard before this can happen. But we will be installing temporary asphalt in the meantime, since there'll be a somewhat of a time frame between the two. Did you want to go over sequence, James?
I don't need a mic. I'm loud enough. Like Janice mentioned a while ago, we're going to start with the sewer on Monday. Can y'all hear me? As far as traffic, any house north of the sewer operation will be able to exit to Railroad Street. Any house south of the sewer operation will be able to exit to Howard Avenue. So we're going to try to keep traffic open. So I hate talking about it.
So let me see if I can correctly state the contractor's intentions. He's going to start at Howard Avenue.
Right.
Because that's our deepest sewer. That's about 16, 17 feet deep, and the sewer shallows as we head north. His plan of operations, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is he's going to start at Howard. He's going to start laying out, he'll excavate and start laying out the sewer a little bit at a time, install the sewer, and at the end of the day, backfill to the best of his ability or after.
It'll be opened up at the end of the day, so anybody south of us will be able to exit back to Howard Avenue.
So imagine in the morning, you're at the residence just north of Howard Avenue, and you're on Crawford. You're going to exit north to run your errands or go to school or grocery shop. You're going to exit north towards Railroad. Later in the late afternoon, if all goes well, our contractor will have the area south by Howard Avenue installed and backfilled, and then you will be able to either come up Howard Avenue back to your residence, and that's the plan. It's going to be leapfrogging as we go. It's going to be a little bit slow.
We'll let them know each day which way to come in.
And the contractor and my inspector will let you know each day which way to come in and go. I think after a few days of it, you'll get a feel for how it progresses, weather depending. You know, if you're in the middle of installing some very deep sewer, he may not get section complete during the day, but we do realize the impacts on such a narrow road. You have one ingress egress really, and we're going to try to make it where it's at least impactful as possible. One of the reasons we invited HCUA, Mr. Alan Lane, who's in the back, to attend is so that we can make sure our garbage services are picked up. We invited the Postal Service. I'm not sure if they're here right now. And we also notified our fire department, our water, our police department, and school buses.
Now, some houses, excuse me, some residents, we're going to ask them to, might have to ask you to move your car in the morning, park down the street, maybe one or two houses, so we don't block you from leaving. So if we do that, we'll ask you just to park out on the street, a couple houses down from where we're starting. Let us get past your house, and you can come back in from whatever direction. It's going to either be, like I said, from Howard or Railroad Street.
The other thing, we have a cross-section, I believe it's on this side, of how narrow our Crawford Street is. Because of the depth of the sewer and the size of Nikase's equipment, there really is going to be very little room for a car to pass by if he's in active construction. So what we're probably going to ask is if all residents can park initially. This is a north view, by the way, looking on Crawford. He's going to be installing these sewers first, the deep sewers. So what we're probably going to ask is that all residents, if they park typically on Crawford, to park on the east side, so we don't have cars on this side and cars on the other side. And that way HCUA and their waste management trucks aren't trying to get around, your fire department. We're going to try to get everybody to park initially on the east side of Crawford. That will free up all the west side for the contractor to work. I know some of us live on the west side of Crawford, but this will clear up a working area for our contractor and hopefully minimize the impacts.
The right-of-way is to the back of the sidewalk, so we don't have a lot of room to put the dirt that we're excavating, so all cars really need to be off the street.
Off the street?
Yeah.
Okay, our contractor, James, made mention that our right-of-way is right here at the back of the sidewalk, so they really don't have a lot of room to put any of the excavated dirt. They're going to excavate, they'll load it in trucks and move it around, so he is probably going to ask instead of parking to the east, if at all possible. I'm thinking like further downstream.
There will be trucks running back and forth.
There's going to be big trucks running back and forth, so the further we can park either north of the operations or on the far east side after they get past, we just want to try to create clear lanes for the trucks and try to minimize impacts to both the operations and you as residents who live there.
We will have everything open back up by the end of the day.
And if, for those of you who didn't hear it or for our press, the contractor said he will open up all areas that they've started work on in the beginning of the morning, at the end of the day. Even if there's a rain event, we're just going to backfill.
The only spot that might not be open will be in the deep area where there's a trench box, but every house will have access by the end of the day.
Every house will have access at the end of the day. And also on the handouts, we left Mr. Nikase's phone number for those of you who have issues at the end of the day. That would be the first number to call. And if that doesn't work, you can call the city of Biloxi. We did elect to put that on also.
And,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, we did that special. Now, I think what I'd like to do it as a Q&A. We're going to turn on this other microphone. George, my inspector, is going to pass it out to the audience if you have any specific questions. I know there's some questions about drainage, maybe schedules. We do have 3 utilities to put in. We have this deep sewer on the west side. We have more shallow water on the east side, and then we have storm drainage. And depending on where we're at on Crawford, we're going to put in the deep sewer all the way to Railroad, and then we're going to come back
and do the water.
Come back and start the water, and then at some point we're going to do some of the drainage.
Let me stop you. We talked about this earlier, we may stop the sewer 3/4 of the way down and go ahead and pick up the storm drain from Railroad, bring it to the south. Reason being that the storm drain there is deeper than the sewer, much deeper than the sewer. What we don't want to get into is excavating deeper than the sewer we just put in and it caving off and we losing the sewer main we just installed. So we may do a schedule adjustment, but it has no effect on entering and exiting the Crawford Street.
So we're going to have at least 3 different operations over an extended period of time.
Right.
All right. Well, with that, our public information officer behind the camera there, behind you is Cecilia Doswalton, and she said to make sure that when you ask a question in the mic that I am to repeat it so it picks up on her video camera. So does anyone have any questions at this time?
Are you going to tear up the sidewalks at the same time?
No, not on the south end. We'll come back later and get them, but not right now because we're not doing storm drain in that area. We want to leave as much there for y'all to walk and access your home.
So on the question was, are the sidewalks going to be removed during the operation for the construction?
Digging up the street, the sidewalk will be
No, the sidewalk's not going to be taken up on the south end, not yet. It will later on.
I live on the north end.
Sir,
I live on the north end.
that'll be taken up when we get there for sewer.
Do you know about what address roughly is the break point for that? What's that?
Yeah, you got to go through the drainage.
All right, we're going to look that up, basically where the break point on the drainage and the sidewalks. At the end of the day, the sidewalks, curb and gutter, everything was going to be removed and replaced. But it's going to be phased over, several months in operations.
You hit this map. We have a fence here, but my fence is right here. Is my fence going to be completely removed?
So the question is whether or not the fence is going to be removed. If the fence is in the way of the operations, whether it's sidewalk or construction, the contractor's responsibility is to remove and replace your fence in as good condition as it was, or like in kind. If a fence has been removed by the contractor, typically we put back. You can't replace. If we can replace it, we can, or we'll put back a new one. Just depends on the condition of the fence. We try to preserve what we can.
Most likely you go to the fence if we have to take the fence down.
My next question is, y'all have been working at the end of the street on Howard, and the other day I noticed that y'all were pumping a lot of creosote out of the ground. What's happening to that creosote? We don't take it. Creosote.
On Howard Avenue, the sewer. We weren't pumping any creosote. When our contractor was coming through with the deep sewer along Howard Avenue, which was 18, 19 feet deep below grade, we came across between Crawford and Rossetti some suspect material which smelled like creosote, so had a strong odor to it. We had it tested. It had what they call PAHs, that's polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which can be from creosote, it could be from old coal, it could be from burning trash. It's a naturally occurring substance in some parts of the ground. In other parts, it's from maybe somebody that placed there, even oil.
It could be organic too.
Organic also. PAH is what they call it. It's a little bit outside of my specialty. Our contractor secured an ERAC, an Environmental Response Action Contractor, who's approved by the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality. They submitted a proposed plan to remediate that water and the soils. It was approved by MDEQ. They treated the water, which is why you saw a lot of big, large tanks down there the past couple of weeks. They treated the water. They removed any soil that was suspect and transported to material hazardous landfill, and all that work has been done. So we're
I was down there, and they were dropping pipes into the ground with water. It's like 40 foot, and there's something's coming out of that water, it was black.
yeah. So
It smelled like
those pipes are what they use the well point to draw out the groundwater, so it can de-water the ground during the excavation, and they can get down to those depths. But all that water was tested multiple times with this ERAC, the Environmental Response Action Contractor, to mitigate it to meet the MDEQ levels of treatment.
So no word is safe.
It is safe. And then it went into the sanitary sewer system. It did not go to drainage. It went to the sanitary sewer system, which was further treated at the wastewater treatment plant.
And how long are you gonna take it to finish?
Howard Avenue?
Time to complete.
Howard Avenue?
Crawford.
It's in two phases.
That's how
I
you
think it's- What did we say the other day? June? Probably around June.
Yeah, next summer.
Yeah.
June, because it's in two phases. The contractor's going to be able to complete all the sewer and the water and a portion of the drainage north of the break point.
The rest of it won't be finished until Rosetti's done.
The rest of that drainage, with the reason why it's going to take till June, which would be the second phase, is part of that drainage drains south towards Howard, down Howard, and then up Rossetti, and eventually it crosses the railroad tracks to Strongy.
My final question, the dust. You know, gonna do like you did on Cedar Avenue, sprinkle a little water every afternoon, get dust again.
The contractor has requirements in his contract to ensure that dust, to the best of their ability, is not an issue. They're present. It's not a very big area. Additionally, we are putting down temporary asphalt where we can to also mitigate that. One, give us better riding surface, and two, to try to mitigate any dust that may occur. But they do have water tanks to address that also. It is a contractual requirement, though. Yes, sir.
189.
189 is I've been told that 189 is the break point where the drainage heads south versus the drainage that heads north. So if you're north of 189, one of the systems that the contractor will install after the water sewer is the drainage north of 189. And at a later phase, he will have to come back and install the drainage south of 189 so that it goes down to Howard and then eventually up Rossetti and eventually under our road tracks to Strongy.
Two questions. Number one, how is our water going to be affected now and after the new?
It's not going to be affected at all right now. We're not going to touch your water. The old water will stay hot till the new water's put in, tested, then we'll tie you to the new water main.
Let me ask, do you want to expand on that? What do you mean, you want to expand on how your water's affected?
Basically what he just answered.
So you're always supposed to have water.
Now, there may be a break here and there, but we'll repair that as soon as it happens and get you back going. I'm not saying there won't be any water breaks, but we'll get you back going
When are you going to start taking up the current asphalt?
Monday. Oh, excuse me, Friday.
Are you going to go all the way down the road? or
No, we're just gonna take up what we need for that day or 2 days and leave the rest of it.
And how's that going to affect the ends of our driveways?
We'll put stone or dirt back, stone preferably, to get you back up on the driveway.
Thank you.
And you're gonna start sewer, instead of soon the first one?
Monday, yes.
As you're doing the sewer, are you just stubbing it, or are you connecting it to each resident?
We'll temporarily connect it to each resident.
Thank you.
Are you leaving the existing sewer and water lines in place?
No.
Eventually, they all come out once we get the new systems online.
So, when is Howard supposed to be accessible from Crawford? I don't know.
By Monday. Or about Monday or Tuesday.
And when you start Crawford, you start right there?
Right there, there's a manhole at Howard Avenue. We're gonna start right there, going north on Crawford. Now, I think it'd be getting started probably 3 or 4 days before we get to the actual first house on Crawford. So nobody will be affected. So after that, it'll be opened up. It'll be opened up going south on Howard Avenue.
No, we have?
I just want to let everybody know that on Fridays, for your garbage and recycling waterways, to have it out at the curb before 6 a.m. The trucks are going straight to that street at 6 a.m. Get that collected out of the way of the contractor.
Thank you, Alan. Alan Lane is with HCA and
Starting this Friday.
starting this Friday. So if for those of you who didn't hear it or if it's on being filmed, Alan, you're saying you want all the residences to have all their trash by 6 a.m. Friday because you're going to send your crews out first thing in the morning to pick up those trash cans, get them emptied, and get them out of the way of the contractor. All right, thank you.
Oh, I heard it. Excuse me, one more thing. They have not been picking up the trash they haven't been picking up the trash because the street's been blocked. Are they gonna pick up the trash too? I mean, I'm talking about like limbs and things like that.
Same thing applies on Friday morning. That truck's going straight to Crawford Street as well.
Mr. Allen is shaking his head yes. Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
Does that include recycle?
Yes, ma'am. Your garbage, your recycle, and your yard waste.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there.
Garbage, recycle, and the other debris is to be picked up on Friday morning, which is one of the reasons we definitely want to ask HCA to attend. That's, one of the big issues that we tend to have in construction in small areas. So thank you, Alan, for joining us actually this evening. Do we have any other questions?
We're gonna put temporary asphalt on Howard from Underdog, so help smooth that. That's gonna be happening in the next few days, or next week.
All the size of the pipes, I think will be bigger than they are now. The size of the pipe, the water pipe, the drainage, the sewer, are they bigger?
The storm drain is.
Storm.
Water and sewer, I think, is the same size. Storm drain's bigger.
Water is increased.
Water has increased too.
This-
That is very front of the front part of Crawford Street, the drainage, the obviously real heavy. So I know you said you put maybe bigger pipes in the ground, but more water in the ground. We did on first, and they did that, when they had those systems, that drain flood on the rock. They put like 48 cones in it, and take all water, on the street, put it in the ground. I thought it was, it's the same size, no bigger pipe.
So to the best of my knowledge, the pipe is going to be the same size or larger, but it will be new at the very least. These pipes, some of these systems have been put in the ground 20, 30, 40 years, if not longer. And what tends to happen is, like all of us, they start to get cracks and creaks and they get stuff into them. Some of us, not all of us, some of us. They don't work as well as they did when they were younger. So what the new pipes will at least do, if they're the same size, they will allow a more effective hydraulic flow. And if it's larger, it will allow more capacity. However, that's not to say that if we do not have if we have a flash flood event or heavy rains, that system can only hold so much water. There's only so much water that will pour through the tiny center of this bottle at a time, even though it has a larger capacity. So it may take some time, but the benefit is it will all be new pipe, and it will be better than what it was, is how the design is. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to clarify the thing about Howard. So on Monday, you're saying I'll be able to drive on?
No, either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know yet. It all depends if they get out of that manhole and get to that first house, then we'll open everything back up to,
Okay, so it will be open.
yeah. When they get to your house, you'll be able to go out Howard Avenue.
Okay, yeah, I'm right.
You're on the corner? Yeah. Before they get to you, like you may have to move your car for a day or two, park one house down. Then once they get to you, you can go out. You'll be able to go out Howard Avenue.
So she will leave
And
in,
we'll let you know. Either me, my superintendent, or foreman will let you know. They'll come knock on your door and let you know.
Yes, I was wondering, when you're starting Crawford, would I be able to park on Howard, or would I need to park further down?
Now, you can stay where you're at for now. I will let you know when you need to get out. Yeah, but we'll be a few days there because that's deep right there where we got to go.
You said that the breaking point was 189, and that's for the north side, right? And so I'm south of that, I'm 150, I'm 3 houses, I'm 2 houses from her.
Okay.
On the corner. There's a drain line that runs across my yard, parallel to Howard.
what was your address again? I'm sorry. 150?
Yes.
So you're on the east side?
Is the drainage that's gonna go down the entire length of my yard and taken care of at that time too? I did a perpetual right away, did a fuel shaver, and I was building a terrible road.
Yeah, there's storm drain that's going. We are installing storm drain by 150, right near your residence.
There's a drain, there's a big drain hole in my backyard.
Okay, that's where we're installing the storm drain, near that area.
So we're going back to where yours.
Yeah, we're going east and west.
Yes, at your yard, so you'll have drainage, there's going to be drainage obviously north and south on Crawford, but you will also have drainage that goes cross-country, east to west. Where we had cross drainage before, again, it's going to be newer pipe. If you're in a dip, though, if your property's in a dip, it's got a little bowl to it, it's always going to have that bowl. Yeah. I mean, it should drain it better than what it has been, that's for certain, because I've come back there many after rainstorms to see problem areas. It's not going to,
It's 6 foot deep by my house is 10 foot.
yeah.
I'm just hoping that maybe some of that dirt that's getting excavated can be filled in my backyard. While I'm going to do that.
You got to get your councilman to sign off on that.
Good Phil. Have to do something with dirt, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, gee, you know, the truck just backed up there.
Yeah.
Gotta go somewhere.
Do we have any more questions? Well, if not, we got one here on the end.
Quick question, talked to the town over the last couple of years. Do you have blueprints to what's down there?
Do we have blueprints to what's down there now or what we're about to do?
Or is it, I've been told it's guesswork. You try to-
So if it's what's existing, all right, you got to imagine the city of Biloxi.
Yeah. I asked a question for it.
He's from Long Beach.
He's from Long Beach.
Our city was founded in 1699, and since then they've been building systems throughout our city. Some of it's been recorded, some of it hasn't. Some of it is a lot of people with old memories on where they believe they installed it. We have a fairly good idea where all the old systems were, but not 100% perfect. That's just reality of building out systems and
It's somewhere
over the
between
years.
sidewalk to sidewalk.
The new system, we should know spot on. We've got our our Neil Schaefer inspectors are GPSing it, our contractors GPS the positions of all the pipes. We video them. At the end of the project, our contractor turns in what they call as-built. This is how your project was built, as built. Our plans show where everything's supposed to go. Sometimes we make field adjustments, but that's the benefit of the as-built. It's supposed to show if we moved a pipe from point A to point B for a field condition. Like everything else, there's no 100% guarantee in the future. It's not 100% perfect, but it'll be much better than what it was because conditions how they are with the GPSing and accuracy of the locations.
And we're looking at the end of June, maybe.
We're hoping to have, excuse me, we're hoping to have curb, sidewalk, and asphalt, base asphalt, which is what we got on the east end of town right now. We had to put the surface on. You think July? End of June, July? So,
Another question up front?
Will the sidewalks go all the way down the street? Because they're not all the way up and down the street now.
Yes.
You go from, I forget where the sidewalk goes from, I'm 188, and the sidewalk stops going south. I forget what house it is in New York.
Do we have sidewalks south of 180?
Stops going further down to Howard. There's
Right.
no more sidewalk.
Right now, we have sidewalks proposed to go down both sides of Crawford all the way to Howard.
Okay. On both sides?
Both sides.
Instead of falling?
Yes.
Because we've got kids that go to the bus stops, and they've got to come out onto the street sometimes.
As long as there's not a physical impairment to it, sometimes if there's it's not a telephone pole that we can't get relocated, it may stop there and allow you to crosswalk over to the other side. But in general, we should have sidewalks on both sides of Crawford all the way down to Howard.
What about Rossetti? Do they have sidewalks?
Let us check. Does Rossetti currently have sidewalks? I don't think it does. Does it? Okay, let's check.
West side.
Just on the west side? Currently, it's designed just to have it on the west side of Rossetti.
West side? I think they're also.
East side also? Currently, the design just only shows the west side. We'll take a look into it. If it was there before, we'll try to replace it unless physically we can't for some condition. We'll look into that.
On your picture, it shows one side drainage being deeper. What side of the street is that on? Is that on the east or the west side of Crawford Street, on the drainage side?
sewer's gonna be on what side? It's gonna be
The west side.
on the west side?
Repeat the question, I'm sorry.
On your picture here, it shows the drainage side being deeper. Just out of curiosity, which side of the road is that gonna be on? The east or the west side?
So we're looking north view here. Our sewer is the deepest, and it's on the west side. The water will be on the east side, and then the drainage will be back on, is it all on the west side except for cross drains? So all your drainage, north and south, will be on the west side, shallower than your sewer, obviously. We do have some cross drains, like going across the residence property east-west in a few locations, but drainage will be all on the west side unless it's a cross drain.
Well, you have all this video and everything that's there now. Yeah. Like they normally do. So everything is in place that's there. The driveway, that's always a problem. If I had a driveway, I didn't have a driveway.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I said, I'm asking to see if they have a video. That matter. To make sure the video, the people complaining before, different street, I had a driveway and then put it back. They didn't have a driveway. So you already have everything more video, so the people's yard is where it is now. Like you said, about his fence, driveways, whatever they have.
Yes, sir. So the question was, for those who didn't hear, is Is everything videoed or photographed to show the conditions prior to Nikkei starting construction? The answer to that is yes. Both Mr. Nikkei's and my Neil Schaefer team have both gone out and videoed and photographed the conditions as they are today before we touch it.
I want to make sure you have this down.
Yes, sir.
Main thing, 'cause everybody goes back, I need this, you didn't put mine back, whatever. There's always been a question.
Yes, sir. Do we have any more questions? Well, if there's anything that you may have not thought of during this meeting, we have handouts with our phone numbers, both to the engineering department and to the contractor. And, you get home, you're like, oh, I sure wish I would have asked that one question. So please feel free to call. And we have some email addresses up there at the sign-in sheets for my project manager, myself, and our contractor, and we'll try to address those to the best of our ability. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. And hopefully after all this, we can still be friends.
I doubt it.